Hi, this is another episode of the podcast from the Downtown Rescue Mission called Stories of Hope. I'm Keith Overold. I'm the president and CEO of the Downtown Rescue Mission. And today we have my friend with us, Ryan. And Ryan is currently a staff member at the mission and has been here for a few years now and has done a fantastic job. I won't go into his job yet, but we'll talk about that a little later. But Ryan is somebody who came to the mission a few years ago, and but before we get to that point, tell us a little bit about who Ryan is and how you grew up.
Yep, my name's Ryan Drenner. Grew up in a little town called Glencoe, Alabama. I guess you say nobody says Glencoe; they say Gadsden, but Glencoe is where I was born and raised. Just grew up in a middle class family there. Small town boy, um, and had never been away from there much. And then kind of life's path took, and then I hadn't been back there in a long time.
Yeah.
And it's but uh, but yeah, just a normal small town boy.
So tell us a little bit about small town boy in Alabama. What's that mean?
It's mama's boy,
Yeah.
um, country boy, sports.
Yeah.
That's it. Live and breathe sports, and then that's just all you know to do,
Yeah.
and that's typically where my life is was always at, and kind of ended and then started again.
So Gadsden, that area is kind of the middle of the state, right? A
Yep.
little bit north of Birmingham, but it's really the deep South,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so for people that are not from the South, what does it mean to be from the South?
I mean, I think from a guy standpoint, it's just a Southern boy.
Yeah. What's it
Just
mean to be a redneck?
country,
Country.
country.
Yeah. So does that mean that you're redneck because you painted on there? What's that mean?
I always considered myself. I don't know that. That's funny you said that because I was just sitting there thinking in my head, like I was a country boy, but I wasn't. Like we were my where I kind of grew up in my class and my living in time. We were like considered the preppy country boys.
Yeah.
You had the cowboy boots on, but you had the 2 button collar polo too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it was
That's
like,
funny.
but yeah, that's how we grew up, and that was funny. I'm leaving for Montana tomorrow, and we were packing last night, and that's all I packed was blue jeans, 2 button collar polos, and
Yeah.
cowboy boots.
So you still are the same today, right?
Yeah.
That's funny. So the way you were raised influenced your life some, and but tell us a little bit about what you talk about sports and things, but would you go out country boy? Does that mean you were a fisherman or a farmer or hunting? What kind of things you do when you're younger?
Yeah, we kind of grew up. We did it all. Being small town like that, we lived on land. It wasn't subdivisions like it is now, and everywhere you see. So you always had a little bit of like somewhat of the farming in it. We wasn't like in animals or stuff, but we had land to take care of.
Yeah.
So you grew up doing that, but um, hunting and fishing was something that we always done, but it was just seasonal, and in between we had time. But mine strictly was sports. I was involved in all sports from the time I was 4 years old, and that's kind of where my path took, and what I was took to, and that's what my concentration was.
Well, you and I've been out fishing,
Yeah, we have.
and unfortunately I sold my bass boat, but
Man.
yeah, you and I were out fishing probably a couple years ago now, and
Yep,
we had
about
a
two
good
years
time.
ago.
Yeah, you still knew how to be a Southern boy and cast that pole, and
Yeah,
we
we didn't
didn't
catch many.
yeah, didn't catch
but
many that day.
but we had a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time of fellowship. So tell me about your mom and dad a little bit and being raised that way.
Yeah, that's thing that like that coming to the rescue mission help. I can sit here and make excuses and give reasons of all the many failures in my life, but it strictly boils down to me personally, and that's where I've been able to grow here at the rescue mission. But my life it wasn't a tough one, upbringing. I had it made.
Hmm.
I was a spoiled, rotten little, what,
Yeah.
and I was given everything. I never wanted for anything. My my parents gave me everything I needed and more.
Any
There
brothers and sisters?
Yes, I
or-
do have a sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a sister that is 4 years younger than me.
Mhm.
We wasn't very close, um, but we didn't have a bad relationship.
Yeah.
It's just it was like I guess she was 4 years younger than me. I didn't have time for her. I guess or
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's just my life, my family, they were very adamant of how we were supposed to live, and there was one way to live, and that was that way.
And why do you think that was? Why do you think that there was one way that they wanted you to live?
I mean, me personally, my opinions, looking back on it, it's appearance.
Yeah.
The small town.
Yeah.
you
Show
know,
off the rest of everybody else.
Yeah. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows what everybody's doing. Everybody's into everybody's business.
Yeah.
And it's about the appearance and how you look and look what I did and look what they're doing. And
Did you guys go to church at all?
yeah,
or?
grew up in Southern Baptist Church whole life. Every Sunday, every Wednesday, but it's crazy. Never knew Christ. All those years.
Yeah.
And I was there, but I never knew Christ. And
Do you think that had to do with it? It was just maybe because your parents were trying to have that image. Even the church became an image.
Yeah. It was routine.
Yeah.
It was routine. I mean, and then too, you talk about small town. There's not many churches, so the few churches there are, most everybody in the community is in that church.
Yeah.
So it was just it was just the place to be and it was just normal.
Yeah.
It wasn't all right. We're going to hear the message today, or we're going to, for the reason we're supposed to. And I'm not saying that for everybody.
Sure.
But me, that was it. That's all I knew.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I looking back at my raising, there is a lot of things that I know that affected my life. But then again, I know there's a lot of things that I was given that I could have been successful, and I was just too immature of a kid.
Yeah. So you mentioned sports a couple times. So tell me about what do you mean by sports and being younger?
I played all sports. Like I said, I started when I was 4. I played all sports: football, basketball, baseball. Everybody always said baseball was my sport, and that was probably the one I should have stuck to.
Yeah.
But basketball was my love, and I came through in a period in the community that I grew up in the school that I went to. I came through a period where basketball hit hot, and they had a tremendous amount of success. And so, being a smaller school and having the success that they were, all the other surrounding communities were trying to get their kids to our school to play. So it was hot, and they went on about a 10, 12-year run of dominating 3A basketball.
What school did you go to?
Glencoe High School.
Glencoe.
And I was able to be there during a period of time that was right in the middle of those 10 years. So it was in the best of it. It wasn't in the very beginning of it, and it wasn't at the tail end of it. It was at the middle. I mean, you got to think, 3A high school basketball team. I graduated with 80 kids. Our starting 5 my senior year was 6'8", 6'7", 6'5".
Wow.
In 3,
Yeah.
So that's unheard of.
Yeah, they're growing them big down there.
Yeah. So we had a lot of success, and I took to basketball. Became, at my age, I'm 45, so AAU had just started then, and so it was just getting to the point to where if you had aspirations outside of high school, you better concentrate on one and play it to where it wasn't that way before. And we were at the beginning of that, so I kind of my senior year dropped everything and just traveled playing basketball my whole senior year, and then had some opportunities, that paid off, and I look at it, look back at it now, they didn't pay off. I mean, it's just what was I doing? I mean, I'm a 5'9" white boy. What was I thinking basketball was gonna give me? Yeah. Now there is a lot of things it could have gave me, but looking at those things. I was
Mhm.
thinking, I never had an end date,
Mhm.
you know. So basketball finally ends at 20 years old. I was blindsided. I didn't know what to do.
It become your life, right?
It was my life.
Yeah.
And then the 3 years that I was there, I mean, playing, didn't take any advantage of schooling that I was offered
Hmm.
for it. I mean, that should have been the thing.
So you did do the high school, and then
Mhm.
you were able to go the second level.
Yep.
So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I had some opportunities to go play at the college level, and most of them are all smaller, from junior college to D3 to D2. Um, um, Fortunately, I was able to go play 1 year at junior college and then go on to JSU,
Mhm.
and then that's where it ended. I didn't finish. I finished my junior, so I was there 3 years. So I was actually at JSU 2. So I was at junior college 1 and then JSU 2.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, and then was dating my high school sweetheart, and she got pregnant, and basketball ended. It was
Hmm.
time to go to work, and
Yeah.
I did not have a clue in life. I'm sitting here, and I've been here 3 years of college. I got about 8 credits,
Mhm.
with about a 2.0 grade point average, and I've sat here and wasted 3 years of my life thinking I'd be playing basketball the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
and like I said, I'm sitting here making excuses for a lot of kids' dreams, that love the opportunity, and that's something that I wouldn't want this conversation to be.
Yeah.
No, it's a positive, but you can't do it the way I did it.
Yeah.
And you better have some, something in you that that you're mature enough to know that, hey, the basketball is extra. I got to handle business here.
Yeah.
I've got to mature. I got to become a man. I got to, get my life path together. This is just something. Basketball is just giving you the opportunity to do it.
So your girlfriend getting pregnant
Mhm.
was you think that's the only reason that basketball ended, or was basketball going to end anyway?
Basketball is going to end anyway.
Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah, it was going to end anyway. I mean, it was, at that level, it's tough,
Yeah.
and I went from being the star of the school, or and the star of the team my whole life to I was just a body,
Yeah. So
and
high school, you were like the number one guy,
yeah,
and then you get to college, and you're like,
yeah. I mean, like
were
I
you
said,
riding the bench or?
yeah, I would my first year with junior college I did, and I had the opportunity to play a lot, and that's what got me to the next
Yeah.
stage. But from that point, I was just a role player,
Yeah.
and I had a lot of injuries.
Mhm.
Got mono, got my nose broke,
Mhm.
had 2 surgeries. Came back. About the time I come back, bam.
Yeah.
So and it all ended. And there is a lot of things I would do different. The knowledge that I have now. Number one is just I would, you know, uh, took took life more important,
Mhm.
and tried to mature quicker and have bigger goals. I didn't have any goals.
Hmm.
You know, mom and daddy's was my goal.
Yeah.
They're gonna give me what I want.
Yeah.
You know,
So you think then some of the way you were raised that they spoiled you enough that it became that you didn't have your own path for life. You were wanting to do whatever your parents thought you should do.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's all it was.
Yeah.
I can think back at stories of opportunities that I had that was very interesting to me that I was told no, you're gonna do this. My life was path for me. It wasn't about my choices or decisions.
Hmm.
It was, all right, this is the next step, and then you'll do this, and
Yeah.
then you'll do this, and you do this, and I just followed along. And next thing you know, I'm 30 years old with 2 kids, married or divorced now at this point, and I ain't paid a bill.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
ain't had a checking account. I ain't had, uh, you know, I ain't had a cell phone in my name. Nothing. And so, you know, I'm 45 years old. I ain't been doing that stuff but 15 years now.
Wow.
You know.
So let's go back to that. So college happens, your girlfriend gets pregnant, and tell us what happened there.
Yeah, we got married. I went to work. I went to work for a little company back in Gadsden, and was working full time. She stayed in school, um, and to graduate and finish, and I worked, and
You're talking about college, right?
yes,
For her, yeah.
yes, and so it was a battle, man. It was a battle. I didn't. She was a high school sweetheart. She was great. She was good, but I didn't know what love was.
Yeah.
I didn't even know who I was. And man, it just became a point to where life was just miserable, and you just continued just letting your life be pathed out for you. And I stuck with it, and I stuck with it, and he wasn't nobody happy, um, and then next thing you know, this life spiraled. All that stuff is built up, and things are coming at you. You don't know what to do, and that stuff's just built up, and the only thing you know to do is run, or the only thing I knew to do.
So during your 20s, there you do get married.
Mm-hmm.
You have another child,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just you're working hard, or is there other things going on in your life? What
No.
was going on?
No, I wasn't working hard. Like I said, I still had mom and daddy.
Yeah.
And they were
But
gonna,
no checkbook.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, and I had mom and daddy, and they
Yeah.
were gonna, we can go back to the view of it all. What's it look like from the outside?
Yeah.
To everybody else it looked perfect. And and so then that starts. And then once starts this part of life where it starts to where it's not working out the way they want it, and then it's like it's more to hide for them, and then it's more to hide from me. That stuff starts clashing, and then the family problems start, and then finally, I got to where I wasn't working. I wasn't doing nothing. I was being lazy, laying around. Why work?
Hmm.
And finally, it just got to the point that we eventually divorced, and I had to. Well, I take it back. Eventually divorced, and then it became a point that my family basically it was like you're not going to make us make this decision. Like
Hmm.
no, you're not leaving, and if you do, see you later.
Hmm.
And
It didn't fit within their perception of how they wanted the family, right?
correct.
Hmm.
And so that's
So
that's
what was the reason that you? I mean, you had all these plans that your family had for you, but why'd you stop working and things like that? You just
it was because of next thing you know, I'm drinking. I'm doing other things, and it's been so long now I can't even really, and so fuzzy I can't even remember like the first stage of it and then the second stage of
Yeah.
it, because it got so bad that like I that that was the minimal, and in the beginning. So a lot of it's kind of fuzzy and don't really remember how exactly it all got
But during
started.
your 20s and later 20s is when you started
Yeah,
drinking a
it's
little
just
bit.
yep, mid-20s,
Yeah.
late 20s, really mid to late 20s, and
Why do you think you started drinking? Was it just
just
what?
pain,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
hiding emotions,
Hmm.
not, uh, not knowing where my life was headed,
Hmm.
support, who was going to be in my life, I eventually, after we divorced, just my out was that, and my way to get away is I was gonna start traveling with work and working shutdowns and being from job to job to job. That way, I didn't need a house. I didn't have time for family. I wouldn't have time for friends.
Hmm.
I would always be in a different place, um, and so that's what I did. And I did that for, oh Lord, 15 years.
What does shutdowns mean?
It was industrial maintenance.
Hmm.
I started out in the poultry side of it. I was working as a pipe fitter and millwright, going into poultry plants during shutdowns and doing all their big mechanical repairs while the plant was down. And we basically would jump from plant to plant all over the country. And then I
So
kind of
you're all over the country
Yep.
doing that then. Okay.
And then I got into the steel mills side of it and was doing that. Same thing, just in the steel mill side of it.
Hmm.
And then I got into the automotive side of it, and that was where it was a lot cleaner. It was a little bit easier labor work, and it was where the money was at, and it was where I could be gone the most.
Mhm.
It wasn't on jobs that were for 5 days to a week. I mean, 2 weeks. It was more like 6 weeks to a year long jobs. So that's where I went. So for the next 15 years of my life, I had nobody in my life. It was just me in my hotel room in that plant,
So
and
you
7 days a week.
And
Yep.
got away from family.
Yep. And we were so basically what we would do is we would work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, 12-hour shifts, and we do that for 6 weeks, and then you'd have a week off, then you go on another 6 week run. So yeah, that's where I took off, and like I said, I didn't have, I still, now at this point I'm late 30s, and been doing this for about 10 years, and the drinking, the lifestyle of it, living in hotels, traveling from job to job, and I was just, all I could do was just kill my time, and then get home and try to forget about it all while you're by yourself.
And that was through alcohol.
Yeah. And then next thing my last job, I went to Reno, Nevada, to Tesla for a 15-month project, and was working as a contractor, subbing through a company out of Michigan. They sent me there, and Reno, Nevada is a dirty, nasty little old town that's just a casino strip and a college town. Yeah. And they actually housed us in the Grand Sierra Hotel and Casino. So I lived there for 15 months. And went there in 15 months. I made over $250,000, and I came home with nothing, not a penny.
Wow.
And and it was just I look back at it now, and I've seen some pictures and stuff, and it's like you wouldn't recognize me. And I was just all shriveled up, like I was about a 60-year-old man, and just nothing. My truck was all I had.
Wow.
And so I came.
So how'd you burn through all that money?
Just living in that town, living in a casino, gambling, drinking. Just
so you weren't
no responsibility.
You weren't a good gambler.
No, not at all. Just no responsibility at all with it. It wasn't even so much the gambling of it. It was just I had no sense of money. And I had no responsibility with it. I don't even know why I'm working. I'm only working and traveling just to be away. Not building. I'm already looking at it like I ain't gonna live but a couple more years, if that.
So you weren't coming back.
I'm not trying to save. I ain't trying to have a retirement. I'm not trying to have a 401k. I'm not trying to have a savings account.
And you stayed on the road the whole time. You didn't come back to Glencoe at all?
Not one time.
Wow.
Not one time.
And that was on purpose. You were doing that just to keep that out of your life.
Yeah. That was the only reason I was working.
Wow.
It wasn't to support my kids and send back child support. It wasn't to do this. It wasn't to have this. I was just trying to get through the day. And whatever made me not think, whatever made me not feel, whatever kept me blinded, whatever, kept me from having a memory or a thought, that's what I did. And
women involved in this at all, or
no?
Just the
no. I didn't have a soul.
Drugs, anything yet?
Yeah, it got to the point where I was taking pills. It was one of those things where it wasn't just one thing. It was just whatever was there, or
almost like whatever I can get my hands on.
Yeah, if it was there, and I thought that it was gonna help or make me not feel, yeah, I do it. And then right towards the end, when I was in Reno, I tried heroin, and that was it. I didn't care about nothing else. Like, that was the feeling I wanted to feel.
What was the first time? How'd you get involved with the first time?
I can't even remember exactly how it happened. But it was there in Reno. And, and that strip of living through there, like, you meet all walks of life of people. and people that you would walk up and think they're like businessmen and like, like high society type people. No, they got as much to offer as anybody else, and it was just like little bitty circles, and then the work circles of like, at when we were there at Tesla, they were 6,000 in contracted employees there a day building that plant
Wow.
from all over the world. So they're living the same lives as you. And all these casinos and hotels are full of all these different crews.
Yeah.
And you can imagine the different type lifestyles and the things that some of those people are doing, and you just kind of get in those groups or whatever. But yeah, the one thing that heroin was the one thing that I remember. It was like, hey, I don't feel nothing. I'm good, and this is how I want to feel. You know, and also I knew that it wasn't but one dose away from being dead, and I was all right with it.
About how far, how old were you at that time? At the end of Reno.
Well, I've been here 5 years total, so from 38 to 40. I was 38 to 40.
And that's when you start getting into the harder drugs, especially heroin.
That's basically where it was my last.
Yeah.
That's the last time that I've done
drinking up to that point.
Yeah. That never stopped.
Some pills.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden heroin hit your life and it was like, whoa.
Yep.
This is me right here.
That's it.
So tell us about the heroin stage. What was going on during those years?
Oh, there wasn't no years. It was a very short period. Thank God.
Yeah.
Because anybody, it's crazy to think. I was telling somebody one time, I was like, you never ever hear of anybody beating heroin. They either go back to it after a time of clean, or it kills them. And I know, like, my times of being here, for the last 5 years, and I'll meet these clients that come through, and I hear the word heroin, I'm like, because it's very rare. It's just so strong.
Yeah.
It puts such a strong feeling on you. And like I said, it doesn't. Your next time using it can be your last breath. And most of the time it is.
And you knew that going in.
I knew it.
When you're in the middle of it, you were okay.
I was good with it.
Wow.
I was good with it. And there was times that it was so bad that I was hoping.
So your life had gotten so depressed that you're like, you know what? I love this heroin, and even if I die, it's okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Yep. Going through treatments and things like that, you always have those, early interviews with counselors and stuff and different things. They always, usually one of the first questions come up, are you suicidal, or have you ever been? And my question would always be no, because I wasn't suicidal. I knew that I did not have it in me to kill myself. I knew that. But I was good with it happening, and I was okay with it.
If you had passed doing it, you're okay. I wasn't going to go and try to do it.
Yeah.
But if it happened while I was doing it, it was okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's where my life, that was the end of it. I came, the job ended, I came back, like I said, I ain't got a penny. Kind of how it works in that line of business with shutdowns, you never know when you're leaving. That at the end of the job, you'll start seeing numbers get cut. They'll start sending people otherwhere, sending people home, and so that the contract's kind of getting to an end.
Yeah.
But they'll just come up on a Monday and be like, "Hey, Friday's your last day. You've got 10 days, and we need you here," and they'll give you your paperwork. So mine finally happened, and I came in on Friday. Friday was my last day. So I stayed in Reno for about 3 weeks. I just hung out, wasn't working. I was done. I was trying to figure out where I was going to go because I didn't have anywhere. And it was going to be 6 weeks before I was supposed to be on another job in South Carolina. So I called a buddy up of mine and said, "Hey, I'm gonna come to Huntsville," and
Is that where your buddy was?
mhm.
Okay.
and so I come up here and um, to hang out with him, and told him, I was like, "Hey, I'm supposed to be in Charleston, South Carolina in 2 more weeks. I'm gonna hang out here." He was like, "Yeah, well, next thing you know, 2 weeks rocks on. Then next thing you know, 4 weeks walks on, and I'm just in his house back there in his guest bedroom with the light off in the bed, and I'm not drinking, not using, not nothing. I just won't get I just won't get out of the bed,
Hmm.
and and after about 2 or 3 days, he come back there. He's like, "Hey man, I know you're tired. You've been on this work run, but you all right? You ain't ate, you ain't been out of bed, you ain't showered, and um, that went on for about another week, and then he finally got me up, and we got in there in his living room, was talking, and for the first time, I started kind of opening up a little bit,
Hmm.
and I'm in withdrawal. My body's kind of in shock, and now I already know I've lost my job because I was supposed to have been in Charleston, South Carolina 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And don't care, and don't have a plan.
Hmm.
And I basically told him that, and I told him, I said, "Hey, I can't be a burden on you, um, and I don't know where to stay here, but I got to figure something out. Can you give me a couple more days?" And he was like, "Of course, man." He said, "But Brian, you feel like I don't think I've known you your whole life, and you've always been the star of everything. You've always been kind of the face of everything, and nobody's ever shot you straight." He said, "But you look like crap.
Hmm.
If you don't get some help, you're not gonna live a few more days."
Hmm.
He said, "I know of a place. I don't know a lot about it." And he wasn't so much of a faith, spiritual guy either. Like he wasn't in church or anything at that time or anything. He's like, I don't, but he had his life together, and he was somewhat successful, and he was just like, I don't know a whole lot about this place, but I know they got something to offer, and I know it won't cost you a lot of money. If I get some information on it, are you interested?
Hmm.
I said, "No, you better take me now before I change my mind." And that's where this journey started.
Wow. And you just had gotten to the point where when he approached you with that you were sick and tired of whatever path you were on.
I had no other option.
Yeah.
I had no other choice.
Hmm.
It was either go to the streets and probably be dead within a week, or try something that I've never tried before.
Hmm.
And